tense for no reason, can't relax even on vacation, replaying the conversation from 4 days ago at 2 a.m. If any of this hit different, I need you to hear this. That's not overthinking. That's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. I don't just teach this. I survived it in combat, and long before that, as a kid who had to learn danger before I learned anything else. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why your mind won't stop and where to start today. There is one specific moment that taught me this the hard way. I will tell you about it in a few minutes. I am Emmett. I teach the mechanics of survival mode in my school community because I have lived it. Every day of it, as a soldier, as an immigrant, and in my own body before I ever had the language for it as a therapist. So let's start with how survival mode actually showed up, because chances are you have been calling it something else. If you are in survival mode, you might not know it because it doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like this: feeling tense for no reason you can't name, not being able to fully relax on vacation in bed, replaying the conversation from days ago like it is still happening, waking up already on edge before anything even happened, feeling guilty the moment you sit still, mistaking calm for laziness, like rest has to be earned. If 2 or 3 of those just hit, that's not a character flaw. That is the body running an old program. Here's the part most people get backwards. You think the worry starts in your mind. It doesn't. It starts in your body. When your nervous system doesn't feel safe, it recruits your mind to help it scan for danger. What could go wrong? What did you forget? What did they mean by the text? And what's coming next? Your thoughts aren't the problem. They are the messenger. Think of it like a smoke detector that's been recalibrated by a real fire. Once it has been through something dangerous, it doesn't wait for smoke anymore. It goes off at steam from the shower. That's not a broken detector. That's a detector doing exactly what it was trained to do in a house where the danger is gone. That recalibration or that recalibrated detector state has a name. I call it the survival mode. And once combat and displacement wire mind that way, I learned there is a specific displacement reason that insight alone doesn't turn it off. Earlier, I told you there was a specific moment that taught me this. Yeah, it is. I'm 12 years old, just moved from Liberia to Wisconsin. A new country, a new weather season, winter, everything unfamiliar. And before I unpack a single thing that we just bought from Walmart, because we brought nothing from Africa, I am already doing a sweep, not with my hands, with everything else. The sound that winter makes outside the window, I did not recognize yet. The way my adoptive father's shoulder sits when he's standing at my adoptive mother's bedside, bedridden. Whether the air in the room feels like waiting or like something else has already happened. I'm reading that wrong before I can name what I'm looking for. I don't know. At that time, that was not normal. To me, it was just Tuesday. Fast forward 14 years, I'm back stateside after a deployment from Afghanistan. Safe house, safe city, nothing in the room with me. I'm sitting somewhere ordinary and someone yells nearby. Nothing serious. And before I have made a single decision, I have already identified all the exits, clocked the distance to the doors, and my jaw is locked. But I catch myself because I have done this before. Not in combat, but in my bedroom in Wisconsin when I was 12 years old. Reading the room I just arrived in, trying to figure out whether I was safe before I even knew what unsafe felt like. Combat didn't build this wiring, it inherited it. I didn't get handed a switch to turn it off. I had to learn the same way I'm about to teach you, that safety isn't a decision you make once. It is a state your body has to be walked back into over and over until it starts to trust again. And here's what made it more complicated for me. This part didn't start in combat. It started before that. As a kid who had to read a room for danger before I ever got to just be a kid. Come back didn't build the wiring. It just turned up the volume on wiring that was already there. That's actually really common for a lot of people. Whatever you are dealing with right now, the worry, the tension, the inability to rest, it didn't start where you think it started either. Here's the part that surprised me most, and it is the part most people never hear or never have heard. I went and got the degree. I became a licensed therapist. I could explain nervous system regulation to a room full of people, and I still could not fully regulate my own, because insight doesn't turn off activation. Knowing you are safe and feeling you are safe are processed in completely different places. You can pass every test on paper and still brace every time your phone buzzes. That's not a failure of intelligence or willpower. Therapists will ever struggle with their own nervous system, and I promise you, some of us do. So, if you have read the books, done the therapy, and can recite your own patterns back to me, like a diagnosis, and you are still stuck, I need you to hear this. You were never missing information. You were missing the body that had been walked back to safety. So, what is survival mode actually doing inside you? You are a few of the most common patterns I see in clients and in myself. Bracing like you are waiting for impact even when you are just sitting at your desk. Shadow breathing high in your chest like a full breath isn't safe to take. A jaw that won't unclench even in your sleep. A sense of urgency with no obvious source. Everything feels like it has to happen now. Hypervigilance, scanning the room, a relationship, or your own body for what might go wrong next. And an inability to actually land after stress. The event ends, but your body doesn't get the updates. Here's the piece that changed everything. Once you see it, your body isn't overreacting to your life. It is reacting accurately to what has trained or what it was trained to expect. The problem isn't that your alarm system is broken. It is that it is still responding to a threat that most of the time isn't actually in the room with you anymore. I want to show you what this looked like in someone else, because it might be easier to see it in them before you see it in yourself. It is a pattern I see constantly, especially with veterans and first responders. Someone comes in and say, I don't know why I can't relax. My life is fine now. And on paper, it is fine. Safe home, steady job, and no immediate threat. But their body never got the memo. It still on the clock from a version of life that require constant readiness. So, just snap at small things. They can't sit through a slow movie. They feel guilty on a day off. Like rest is a warning sign that something is about to go wrong. The work is never just calm down. The work is helping the body confirm again and again in small moments that the shift is actually over. That's true whether the original shift was a deployment, a chaotic childhood, an abusive relationship, or a job that demanded hypervigilance for years. Different doors, same room. So, what actually helps? Matrix signals, small, repeatable signals that tells your body the shift is over. Start with exhale. Not a deep breath in, a long breath out. Out, in for full, out for it. Your exhale is the one lever you can pull on purpose that talks directly to your nervous system. Unclench your jaw on purpose several times a day, especially when you notice you are bracing. Orient to the room. Actually, let your eyes move around the space you are in and register this room. In this moment, nothing here is hurting me. Slow your transition. Don't sprint from one task, one meeting, one notification, straight into the next. Give your body 3 seconds between things. And do it. Stop. Tell yourself 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And build tiny moments of safety before the spiral gets big. Because it is much easier to regulate a system at a 3 out of 10 than to fight it at a 9 out of 10. Folks, none of these are magic. They are not supposed to feel dramatic. Okay? They work because they are small enough to actually be repeated, and repetition is what teaches the nervous system that this is the new normal now. So let me leave you with this. You do not worry this much because you are weak. You are not broken, and you don't just care too much. Survival mode is what it looks like when your body learned at some point that vigilance was safer than rest. Maybe that lesson came from a deployment. Maybe it came from a childhood where safety wasn't guaranteed. Maybe it came from a boss, a marriage, or a year that asked too much of you for too long. Wherever it came from, it made sense. Your body wasn't malfunctioning. It was adapting to you being alive and working on keeping you alive. And here's the part I need you to actually believe. The nervous system that learned to survive can also learn to rest. Not because you think you're way there, but because you walk it there. One single signal of safety at a time. So this week, I want you to try one thing. The next time you notice you are bracing, don't try to fix the thought. Just do one thing for your body. The exhale, the jaw, the orienting. Just one. That is the whole assignment. Because once you stop treating this as a thinking problem and start treating it as a body that needs to feel safe again, everything changes, including how fast you actually heal. If this is the work you need right now, hit subscribe and tell me which sign hits hardest. I read every comment and it helps me know exactly what video to do next.